We know that having good credit can make life easier financially, but there's a more nuanced conversation around credit that involves our debt to credit ratio. Schoolsfirst Federal Credit Union is here to give us the lowdown on optimal credit usage. Joining us today is Tammura Thomas. She's the Fruitridge Branch Manager for Schoolsfirst Federal Credit Union. Hello, Tammura.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so I'm kind of learning about something new today. Can you tell me exactly what credit utilization is and how it impacts us?
Yes, so credit utilization is essentially what you use on your credit versus your balance that you have. So your balance versus your available credit. So what you're looking at is kind of staying under 30% for credit utilization. That's going to give you a really great, healthy credit score. It's going to help your overall interest, all of these different types of things. So a really great example of that is you take what you've spent on your card and divide it by your total balance, times it by 100 to get a whole number, and you'll get your utilization. So if you have a $30,000 credit card, you carry a $10,000 balance, that puts you at a 33% credit utilization, which seems really great. But creditors can see that because it's over 30%, it can start to kind of negatively impact your credit score because you may be overspending a little on your credit card. And anybody who's had a credit card knows that that can happen very quickly. You put one little thing here and there, and your balance just kind of gets a little out of control.
One little summer vacation trip and
absolutely. And then all that time paying it off, right?
Yes.
And so yes, you want to pay attention to that credit utilization. Keep it under 30% if you can.
I like that you pointed out you have available credit, but it doesn't mean you need to use it all.
That's right.
So what is one thing we can do to help lower our debt to credit ratio?
So the most important thing is to know what you're putting on your card. So pay attention to your spending. A lot of creditors have really great online tools that you can use. You can check your balance, see where you are at as far as your credit limit versus what you've used. You can set up alerts on a lot of those things, so when you get to a certain balance, they can send you a text message or an email. They also have some really great ways of kind of categorizing your spending for you, so you can see what you're primarily using your card for. Is it kind of those necessity items, or are you maybe getting too many coffees in the morning or things like that? So you can really pay attention, get the overall picture of how you're using your card, and do your best to try to keep it up, again, that 30%.
That's mine. Eating out too much, Tammura. That's
yes, I feel that.
The swiping goes. So monitoring it, and like you mentioned, getting that text message maybe once you've hit that limit to kind of check yourself a little bit.
That's right, because it does. Anybody who's had a credit card learned this potentially the hard way. It really does add up very quickly. So you have to be very mindful and intentional with the way that you use your card.
I agree. So for those who find it tough to stay within that 30% range, myself included, do you have any other strategies to consider?
You know, a really great strategy other than budgeting and really, focusing on one card at a time and kind of paying it down, you can look at extending your credit limit. So trying to get your limit raised. Now, I would caution anybody who wants to do that, make sure you have healthy habits in place before you do that, because with more availability becomes more opportunity to spend, and the last thing we want to do is go into further debt when we're trying to help our credit and our credit health. So you can look at increasing your limit. But again, as long as you have those healthy habits in place already, that will help obviously bring down your credit utilization because you have more availability. Another tip, which again, I will caution you with, is you can add yourself as an authorized user to somebody else's card, a trusted family member, a spouse. As long as they keep their credit usage low, it does impact your credit. It can help your credit. It helps your overall utilization picture. So the credit bureaus look at all of the credit cards you have and what your balances are and what your availability is. And that's how they figure out how much you have utilization-wise. So again, you want to be careful though, because if you don't have a physical card, you don't have to be responsible. But if that person overspends, then it could impact you in a negative way. And that's not what we're trying to do today.
Trying to do better.
Yes.
Can you hit us with some final tips, Tammura?
I would say creating a budget when it comes to anything in life, right? We always talk about budgets, but especially when you're using your cards, make sure you're being mindful of how you use them. Another really great thing that you can do is you can make more than one payment a month, and I think not a lot of people realize that, right? You wait for your bill, you pay what's due, and then you're done. But if you make 2 payments, take that same amount and just break it down by 2 payments, not only will it report less on your credit report when your card reports your new balance, it'll also save you on interest. So that's a way to kind of plug away at these things and hopefully make some, you want to see progress because that's what's really going to help.
Yeah.
Another thing too is to know when your creditor reports to the credit bureaus and try to make your payments prior to that. So you have a due date, doesn't always align with how your creditor reports. They refresh every 30 days. So see if you can make your payments prior to that reporting so you're showing a lower balance.
Oh, that's good to know. I have to agree with the budgeting. Since you've been on the show and members of Schoolsfirst Federal Credit Union, you guys always point out it's so important to budget. I've done it. I didn't want to. I was just like, I don't want to see where the money's going, but it really kind of puts things into perspective.
Right.
You see where it's going. You learn to manage your money a little bit better.
There's an awareness that you have when you set a budget and you have to hold yourself to that budget. And that's, for me, that's where I really saw how I potentially overspend. So, yeah.
You got to check yourself once in that.
Absolutely.
Tammura, thank you for helping us with these tips.
Thank you, Desiree.
Of course. And to our viewers, you can visit one of the many Schoolsfirst Federal Credit Union branch locations as seen on the screen. And you can find out more online by going to schoolsfirstfcu.org.